Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. Tony Peyton Manning and David Letterman introduced football as a taxi cab. You ever done that?
I'm Tony Kornheiser. Sure, if by taxi cabs you mean fifth graders.
Okay, all right. Let's hope you were in the fourth grade. Because any later than that, and I don't know if people can come still pick you up and lead you away in handcuffs.
Don't you remember that great Saturday Night Live sketch with Peyton Manning throwing the football at those little kids? That was among the funniest things I've ever seen anybody in sports do.
And inappropriate.
Well, but cruel and inappropriate goes hand in hand with funny. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. We will get to Tracy McGrady and Gilbert Arenas mocking Roy Hibbert in a moment. But we begin today with Golden State's decision on Mark Jackson, which was to fire Jackson, as has been widely anticipated for weeks. Now, you can't fire Jackson on his record, because he won 47 games last year and 51 this year, making the playoffs for the second and third times in 20 seasons with that franchise. So it has to be about not seeing eye to eye with ownership. Wilbon, will the Warriors regret this decision?
They could, Tony. It depends on who they wind up hiring and whether that person can convince the players that they will like playing for him as much as they love playing for Mark Jackson. Now, I just spent the last week with the Warriors and a lot of time talking to Mark Jackson. Mark knew this was coming. He knew this was coming. This had been building for a while. The owner, and we're talking primarily Joe Lacob here, they don't have any issues that matter in terms of basketball. It just seems like, you said don't see eye to eye. Lacob wants a different guy. I don't know what that means.
Common ground.
Wants a guy who lives close to him, plays golf with him, has the same other interests socially. I don't understand why that matters, because Mark Jackson did one hell of a job. But if they hire a coach who can continue this, it's one thing. But I know from talking to Steph Curry, from talking to David Lee, from talking to players in that locker room, they love playing for Mark Jackson, and they're ticked.
And you know what? I think you have to address all of these things. First of all, Mark Jackson's going to get hired anywhere he wants to go.
You've been making that point all week.
And there's an opening in a city where he grew up.
I know.
New York
You
City.
like that particularly.
Well, I do. But I also affirm the right of an owner to say, you know what? If I don't like the coach, I'm going to get a new coach. That's a good team. It hasn't accomplished anything yet. First round and out, basic sort of team. They got really good shooters. They play really exciting basketball. You get the right
defense.
You get
Mark
the
Jackson
right
installed that
coach in there, and that's a good job. And so I don't think the Warriors necessarily will regret it. But if you're the owner and you've made this move on a coach, you need to now take the temperature of that locker room. And you need to find out if one or two of those players say, I don't want to be here anymore, you need to accommodate that. I've taken
the temperature of that locker room. And again, the names I just gave you.
But will any be so resistant to a change that they will not be the players they have been?
The question is, do they stay? The thing about contracts being shorter now, no more 7-year contracts, these things are 4 and 5 years. You can leave. And players are harder to replace.
There's a guy there are a bunch of names that'll come up.
Steve Kerr's name has already come up.
Mike D'Antoni's name ought to come up, shouldn't it? Isn't that his kind of team?
You would think. Roy Hibbert is likely having an even worse day than Mark Jackson.
Yeah.
Yes. The Pacers lost game 1 at home to the Wizards last night, and Hibbert had a double bagel, 0-0, 18 minutes.
Not his first one.
No. He had more fouls, 5, than points, rebounds, assists, and blocks totaled. And as a result, it is now open season on Mr. Hibbert. Among others, your faves, Tone, Tracy McGrady and Gilbert Arenas took to social media to mock Roy Hibbert. Look at that.
Yeah.
Arenas even photoshopped Tony. We all know Roy Hibbert's been bad. But isn't some of this ridicule over the line? Too harsh.
Your voice is bad, right? So I want you to rest it for a while, and I'm going to go into this just for a while. Roy Hibbert was terrible. I mean, there's no defending that. He fell down on the court out there. He looked terribly awkward. He was awful. Okay. But for these two guys to weigh in, let's start with Gilbert Arenas. Gilbert Arenas, who was detestable in Washington.
Let's go back to the last image of Gilbert Arenas.
Right, who torpedoed and sank that franchise. So it's been 5 years to recover from Gilbert Arenas personally. So he should shut up. Now, Tracy McGrady. I know you love Tracy McGrady.
I do.
Tracy McGrady, one of the greatest chokers in the history of playoff basketball. Not one team that he ever played for in an integral role did he ever reach the second round of the playoffs. So you want to go pitch in the minors, that's fine. But lay off Hibbert. Hibbert stunk, but how dare they mock him?
I'm glad you let me rest my voice.
I did.
That was good.
Go ahead.
I'm just going to say this on behalf of Roy Hibbert. I'm not going to argue with a word you said. I love Tracy McGrady. You can't, Tracy, seriously. Gilbert Arenas. Agent Zero, Agent Shush. I live around the corner from where Roy Hibbert went to high school, Georgetown Prep. Roy Hibbert, I feel so bad for right now because what this kid is going through, by the way, he has a homecoming for games 3 and 4. It's got to be miserable. This kid worked harder and went further to get to the NBA from where he was, his skill set, than any player. He's an all-star. I don't know what's happened. I feel bad for him, and the ridicule that is coming his way now. I don't know how you
teammates are calling
get out
him
of that.
Paul George calling him out. Paul George, who went 4 for 17, is calling him out. Can I just say one thing about the Wizards, because I live in the District of Columbia? People from the outside look at them, they think they're real good.
They're good.
People inside the Beltway who have seen 5 years of not winning more than 29 games.
They won't even hug them.
You can't. You go, really?
You spend most of the year.
This good?
You spend most of the year saying, I don't believe it.
They're good. Right now, they're good. Kevin Durant is officially the MVP, and I believe I had that. Durant won the award today, receiving 119 out of 124 first-place votes. Wow. And maybe this is some small solace after Chris Paul torched the Thunder for 8 threes in a Game 1 win in OKC last night. Well, Durant has been to the finals, and now he's won the MVP. When do we start saddling him with the expectations of winning a title? Why is the only person in the league thus saddled LeBron James?
Let me take you back 25 years to Michael Jordan's first 5 and 6 years in the league when he couldn't win with the Bulls. And he was saddled with those expectations. And when he won, once he started winning, no one else had those same expectations. So Kevin Durant will meet the expectation level probably, I expect, of Karl Malone and John Stockton, Patrick Ewing, Reggie Miller, other great players, Hall of Fame players, Tony, who didn't break through because there was a guy better than them. And so he's in that company. Kevin Durant's the MVP for Charles Barkley, our dear friend Charles.
But he's not getting any heat, Kevin Durant.
He's getting some heat.
He got the Mr. Unreliable and came out on fire.
That's heat. There's a guy out there who is seen as better. And so there was a whole generation of guys, great players, who didn't break through Jordan.
That's right.
And there's a whole bunch of guys, they have to break through LeBron. That's how it works.
What's unfair about this is that LeBron gets all the expectation.
Well, got them all.
And everybody else gets congratulated and a bunch of orange slices for just showing up. Carmelo Anthony, he's so great. His team's not even in the playoffs. Dwight Howard, he's going to turn everything around. First round and out. Dwayne Wade misses 30 games. Oh, could he just get on the court? It would be so great. Kevin Durant's got the MVP. Kevin Durant has been a scoring leader 4 out of the last 5 years. It is about time, it seems to me, for people to say, you got to win. You, Kevin Durant, got to win.
He's still in the playoffs. You only get that when you go out of the playoffs. Jordan got that early in his career when he went out and couldn't beat Magic, Isaiah, and Larry.
But
he got it then.
I'm turning this on you. I'm going to turn this on you.
On me.
On you and people of your ilk, meaning you. Because you always attack Russell Westbrook, so that gives cover to Kevin Durant. Don't you think?
Let me ask you something. Let me take you back again.
Right.
When the Bulls didn't win, but they got close, did you attack Michael Jordan or Scottie Pippen? Honestly, answer that question.
Michael Jordan.
What a liar. What a stone. Do I need to go back again?
Check the tape.
Thank you, Reality, for saying that. I lose my voice again. Nobody is more desperate to stay in the news other than you than the irrelevant Los Angeles Lakers. See, Reality, I got him. The Lakers have cast an impossibly wide net in their search for a new head coach. Today's surprising candidate is Roy Williams. Yes, old Roy of the University of North Carolina. Tony, Roy Williams is one of the most accomplished coaches in the history of college basketball. But what would he want with the Lakers? And what would the Lakers want with him?
I'm going to be quick on this. I have no idea. I mean, he is the archetypal college coach. He's more of a college coach than Mike Krzyzewski because Mike Krzyzewski's worked with pros in the Olympics.
Roy has 2 in the summers, but not like Mike.
He's 63 years old. He spent so much time in college. I don't think college players respond in the same way that pro players respond. So honestly, I don't get this except for the fact that he's a very stylish dresser.
He is.
And maybe L.A.
Pro level.
Maybe, he's a pro-level dresser.
He is. Tony, this is the Lakers. The Lakers are desperate, as I said. The Lakers, I just left L.A. The Lakers are so desperate to reclaim some of the conversation back from the Clippers, even though some of that conversation has been scandalous, that they're going to talk to everybody. First of all, they don't have to hire anybody until even the free agency period if they want. They're going to wait until after the lottery. Who knows? They could wait to the draft. They could say to some free agent, look, we got a vacancy. What do you think? Maybe you'll want to come here. They're going to talk to everybody.
But if you're going to talk to a college coach, talk to Kevin Ollie who played in the league.
They will.
Talk to Fred Hoiberg who played in the league.
They'll
do you believe this Roy Williams thing?
No. But the other thing, Roy can want to go and have an informational conversation with some pro people, including North Carolina guy Mitch Kupchak. Look, people take these interviews and they have informational.
With Mitch Kupchak. Maybe do that.
You wouldn't do that?
I would.
Do we think Roy Williams is going to wind up coaching the Lakers? No, we don't think that.
Derek Jeter is the subject of a Joel Sherman column in the New York Post, suggesting that benching Jeter will be Joe Girardi's big conundrum. Jeter is hitting .250. He's got no pop in his bat. He's been replaced late for defensive purposes, even for base running. Yankee GM Brian Cashman said, quote, "I am not going to talk individually about my state of concern about Derek Jeter. I don't want to feed those flames," unquote. Wilbon, those flames are lapping out there. Can you see Girardi benching Jeter, or has the captain earned a pass for this, his last season?
There's no pass. There's too much money at stake. People's jobs are at stake. It's New York. There's no pass. I mean, you don't have to have a philosophy. You don't have to have a policy. Is he playing well now? He's in the lineup. Is he not playing well? I think I'll sit him. Do I have a faster guy because I might need to go from first to third here to manufacture a run? Give me Ichiro. Whatever. There's no policy. Derek Jeter plays as long as he's playing well enough to put him in the lineup, period.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, but I think there's another factor at work, was that he didn't play last year. But the year before, remember, everybody thought he was through?
He had
about 200 hits or something like that. Now, he's going to be 40 next month, and there are no 40-year-old
He's not getting 200 hits.
And you can't even move him to third like the Orioles did once with Cal Ripken. I mean, that possibility doesn't really exist. So I think he's going to spend some time on the bench. Yeah. You look around at guys, at an advanced age. Look, Yankees, Joe DiMaggio played 116 games in his last year, batted .260.
He didn't play.
Mickey Mantle played a lot of games, but he hit .237. Willie Mays, when he was with the Mets, 66 games in his last year and hit like .211. I mean, it's inevitable,
when you
right?
turn 40 in baseball, you're going to take a downturn. I mean,
but yet I think they owe Jeter. I honestly do.
How much? He's going to play. You're not going to put him on the bench and say bye-bye. We're not suggesting he's Roy Hibbert.
Well, it was Girardi who said, I didn't sign up to manage a farewell tour.
Let me tell you something. If Girardi signed up to manage a farewell tour, the next farewell is going to be to Girardi.
Yeah.
They're going to say, get out of here.
You got to win games.
It's New York. You
got to win games anywhere.
But there are places that are more harsh than others. Yeah. New York, come on, the Yankees are going to. The Yankee fans are going to.
I will tell you this. Those fans will be harsher to Girardi
if he benches
than to Jeter. Jeter's a godlike
beloved.
figure.
He should be.
Let's take a break. Coming up. Why did the Nets give the Heat problems? And is there any chance of an upset? We will ask Greg Anthony.
And later, an ump steals the spotlight from the aforementioned Yanks and Angels. Look at him. Yeah, he's pantomiming?
Well, he's
like a one-man play off Broadway.
Gesticulation, Holmes. That's what it looks like.
Postage meter companies used to be the only way to print postage, and they took advantage of that, charging whatever ridiculous fees they wanted. But those days are over, thanks to Stamps.com. With Stamps.com, you get more features than a postage meter at a fraction of the cost. All you need is your computer and printer to print official U.S. postage for any letter, any package, any class of mail. With Stamps.com, everything you can do at the post office, you can do right from your desk. It's so convenient. And right now, Stamps.com has a special offer when you use promo code PTI. Get a no-risk trial, plus a $110 bonus offer that includes a digital scale and up to $55 free postage. Don't wait. Go to Stamps.com today, and before you do anything else, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage and type in PTI. That's Stamps.com, promo code PTI.
The Nets were 4-0 against the Heat in the regular season, and they begin their playoff series tonight in Miami, where we find one of the men who will be calling the game for TNT Sports at 7 p.m. Eastern tonight, Greg Anthony, who is outdoors and wondering whether he should use his normal voice or his projection voice.
It's breezy. It's tough weather.
We're going to have to deal. Let's start with this, and we'll see where he goes vocally. Why were the Nets able to go undefeated against the Heat during the regular season?
In part because they're really able to use the Heat's strength against them. And by that I mean the Heat, they're not a great defensive team, but what they are great at is turning you over and getting out and getting transition points off of that. And that's an area where the Nets were able to take advantage of, in part because of their experience, and then they can shrink the game. And then also, I think one of the things that allows them to stay effective is they also rebound the ball effectively against the Heat and also shoot the three-point shot well against the Heat. So when you add all that up, it equates to success. Now, granted, Dwayne Wade didn't play in 2 of those games, and 3 of them, I think, were one-point games, but there's a certain level of confidence that comes with that, not to mention when you talk Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett, they obviously believe that they are more than capable of winning this series.
Everybody knows about Pierce and Garnett. They've been all-stars for 15 years, and everybody knows that they are not now at the level they once were at. Now, they're going to yap all series long, but honestly, how much of an influence on the series will they have? Because they're not who they were.
They're going to have they have to have a tremendous impact in order for the Nets to win. And I don't mean statistically. I think if they can play efficient basketball with Joe Johnson playing the way he's playing, and to me, though, Tony, the key is going to be Darren Williams. He's got to play well. He didn't play well really at all in the 3 games that he played in the regular season. I think that matchup at the point guard is going to be critical. He has to outplay Norris Cole and obviously Mario Chalmers. And if he does that, now he can offset some of what you're going to see from LeBron and Dwayne Wade, who also has to play well in this series also. So it's a matchup that's somewhat intriguing. You know, there are a lot of teams that had success against teams that have a chance to win in the regular season. It doesn't always equate in the postseason. I don't know that that's going to be the case here. I do think the Nets have opportunity, plus their bench. You know, they got 3 guys that are over 7 feet that can come in and give them quality minutes. If Blatch plays well and they can get something from Plumlee, again, we know about the Achilles heel of the Heat in the paint. If they can have an impact there and take care of the basketball, then they can be competitive in this series. I don't see any scenario that would tell me otherwise.
Greg, I never thought we'd be talking about Sean Livingston and the way he plays defense on LeBron James. But that has been a factor. Huey Brown even said it's some of the best one-on-one defense he's ever seen that anybody play against LeBron. What has happened there? Sean Livingston, really?
Well, I think there are times where he can have success because he's got height and he's got good enough lateral quickness, though. I would say that I don't think that's the matchup that's going to have as big of an impact. I don't think he will handle him the same way in this series. I think you're going to see a mix. I think Paul Pierce is going to have to guard him for stretches. I think Andre Kirilenko is going to have some quality minutes against him as well. And then I think Livingston will get opportunities. But to me, it's not so much that matchup from a defensive standpoint as it is how they deal with Dwayne Wade. Is Dwayne Wade going to be Dwayne Wade that we've seen in the past? If he plays at a high level now, that puts a tremendous burden, I think, on the Nets defensively because of how dynamic he can be. LeBron James is the best ball mover in the NBA. I mean, he's a guy that likes to get the ball moving, puts you on your heels defensively, and creates those opportunities for other guys. So I think LeBron, no matter who they put on him, will be successful. The question for me is, can the Nets impact Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh to a level where maybe LeBron's got to do more than he would ordinarily do. And if that happens, then again, I like the Nets having a chance to make this a really interesting series.
So we get you out of here on this, because I know we've asked you to talk a lot about the Nets, and it's obvious you like the Nets. But just on the record, we're going the other way, right? We're saying that Miami's going to win this thing. All right. Well,
I like Miami in 6.
Good. And all right. How'd you like his voice? Better than our voices.
We sound terrible. Greg always sounds
awful. Thank you for joining us,
Greg. Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, work on those broadcast voices.
You can watch the Nets and the Heat and the Blazers and the Spurs tonight on TNT. We're going to take a break here, but when we come back, Sidney Crosby finally ends his drought.
Plus, Chris Paul's big night and Troy Tulowitzki's hot start.
Do you think that Greg was a broadcast major at UNLV?
No, he's I bet you Greg was an economic major. I bet you was.
Maybe
he took a
minor in voice. What do you think?
He can do whatever he wanted to do at college.
Right.
He's an academic.
Happy time, people. Happy 29th birthday, Chris Paul. For a guy as accomplished as Chris Paul is, last night was the first time he ever won a game in the second round of the NBA playoffs, and it took a personal record-setting performance with 8 threes and 32 points to get there. But here's what you don't hear anymore. Chris Paul versus Darren Williams.
No, you don't. Chris Paul had an incredibly difficult week last week, given his position with the Union and the Clippers and all that went on. Congrats to him for surviving that and playing great last night.
Happy anniversary, Sir Roger Bannister. On this day 60 years ago, you became the first person to run a sub-4-minute mile. Okay, kids, it's history lesson time. That was the greatest single athletic achievement in the history of the world to that point. Dozens of people run a sub-4-minute mile every month now. But in that moment, the world stopped for Roger Bannister.
Okay, what's the number 2 accomplishment? Is it Vandermeer back-to-back no-nos?
That's an amazing accomplishment. That's close, because nobody will
Nobody's
ever
going to
do
ever do that, yeah.
Happy trails, Joe Girardi and Sean Kelly. In the top of the 8th, Girardi was tossed after arguing balls and strikes and taking exception to umpire Laz Diaz wagging his finger at him Matumbo style. And then in the bottom of the 8th, Diaz repeatedly told reliever Sean Kelly to keep going before eventually giving him the game. Well, I guess if you went to the Yankee game to see Laz Diaz, you got your money's worth.
You know, I get tired of blue. I love it, though, when they chase players and get right back in their faces, because you don't see that in any other sport. Maybe Joey Crawford. But hardly.
Well, maybe we can have umpire night every night and people can watch them. Time to find out we messed up, Reale.
I'm just stunned you had Vandermeer on the same line as Bannister there. I mean, Hillary may be summoning Everest. That would be similar. Not to keep the pylon going, Tom, but you had Roy having season-long double-double averages. He's never done that before, but that's more about you than about Roy. The Federers, okay, Roger and Mirka, twins again for the second time. Now boys, Leo and Lenny. They had girls 5 years ago. That's what, the men's, the doubles, the mixed doubles, the women's doubles, Wimbledon.
Smith again.
Big finish. Troy Tulowitzki homered twice last night. Now 28 for 47 this season at Coors Field. Is that all about the altitude?
Shooting like 250 on the road. I mean, I hit 300 yards in the altitude. What does that say? Sidney Crosby broke his scoring drought and the Pens went up 2-1 on the Rangers. Bad news for your blue shirts?
Very bad news, because he hadn't scored in 13 playoff games, and some people think he's good. Mariano Rivera writes in his new book that Robinson Cano does not burn to be the best. Is that shots fired?
That's shots fired and absorbed, and a guy is down. Yeah. That's what kind of shots those are.
Last one, Blazers Spurs, game 1. Who you got?
Tony Parker or Lillard? Who you got as the point guard in that series?
Until Lillard does it, I got Parker.
Spurs.
We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
It'll be a great series. I want to go see some of that. I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. Check out the PTI podcast on iTunes. It's a ball night, Reality.
Kursoff, Julia Roberts, and Sally Field.
The next big thing. The next new kid. The next overnight sensation. The next rookie. One to watch. The next Hall of Famer. The next Intimidator. The next 6-time. The next king. Next. Who's next? Let's find out. Names are made here. The History 300 at Charlotte. Saturday at 2:30 Eastern on ABC.